Hey everyone, it's James. It is July 14th and it is about 7:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. So let me start off with saying it's not investment advice. I have to make that disclaimer for YouTube. But anyways, the point is that we are at a point to where I don't want to sound bullish. I don't want to sound bearish, and I'm going to explain why. But first of all, I want to say that what we can see, and I've pointed this out a lot, is that the moves are getting smaller and smaller, right? So if we do break to the upside, I do think while it will be a significant move compared to what we've seen recently in price, it will not be as significant as the prior. And I feel like price is more flattening out here as it's building a base like all bubbles do on the backside. It's called normalization of the market. The market goes back to normalization because what happens during a bubble phase, it's not just about the price action, about how fast price rises or falls. It's about what happens to the traders psychologically. That's the biggest factor of bubbles. That's what people do not take into account. I saw after this bubble phase, like everyone was going back in history about all the price increases and blah, blah, blah. But that's not what the bubble is about. The bubble is about like extreme euphoria to where irrational behavior becomes logical behavior, and the world is basically just like it's insane. Like, and the traders become insane, and that's exactly what happened in Bitcoin to this meteoric rise to 20,000. It's not about it's the same return as blah blah blah. It's like this is how it was from 2001 to 2004 or whatever, whatever crazy time frame you want to look at. But anyways, so the reason for normalization is that those traders, the whole market in itself has been just thrashed, just mentally, physically, through financially, just thrashed around and beaten all the heck through this price action on the backside. So it takes longer. Like things become stretched. Time becomes the biggest element. And you see these people, and you see, the analysts come out on like mainstream media, and you got people on YouTube and all these other articles where people are talking about all these crazy figures well beyond 20,000. But if you just understand just basic human psychology, and you understand what happens after a bubble, like you can look at the NASDAQ, for example. It took 15 years for the NASDAQ to finally come back. It does not mean it's going to take Bitcoin 15 years. The purpose of me explaining this is that it takes time because of what happened to traders emotionally in this market. Okay, and it takes time to heal from that, to build that energy back up again, and then start to proceed back upward. Instead, people are being led to believe this market is going to do this move again in the next couple months. And every time we get the pop, all the analysts come out the woodwork and they're like, it's going to the moon, and boom, it falls in on itself every single time because they're not accounting for what's happened to the market psychologically. And trading is not just about technical analysis. If you're just solely relying on technical analysis, yeah, you might be a good trader, but you also have to think about what the buyers and sellers are doing. You have to think about where are people where are they off balance? And right now, even during the decline in Bitcoin, there's so much hopium in this market. It's quite outrageous. It's the most hopium I've ever seen in my entire life. Analyzing markets, to where I've ever seen just people they're so hard set that it's guaranteed that price is going to rise because fundamentals or whatever the reasoning is behind it. There's so many people still talking about Bitcoin like it's guaranteed to be some crazy astronomical number. So I don't want to go off on a tangent on that, but I just want to explain to everybody, and I try to lay it out as logically as I possibly can for everyone, and on a simple level. And I don't mean that in like a demeaning way. I just want everyone to understand and be at least a voice of reason out there in a market that is full of insanity, from what I've seen. So, anyways, if we are able to break above 6,800, then we will continue upward. So what happens during moves, whether they're down or whether they're up, there are parts of volatility that equal coils. So when we rise like this and we're falling, or you're going up like this, or you're going up and over and up and over and something like that, maybe it's like that, or maybe it's like that to the downside. What you have are coils. And these coils, these are called corrective moves. They call them whatever you want to call them. Corrective moves, coils, anything like that. Everything I do is completely based on energy. That's the point in the lines. It's not about, sometimes I'll use the lagging indicators, and sometimes they work, but mainly it is about the energy, because at the end of the day, it's just the energy between buyers and sellers. So those coils lead to the accumulation of energy. It's regathering its move, right? Nothing goes down, nothing goes up forever, nothing goes down forever. So it has to recapture that energy and then it expends it in another direction. So as of now, we have the downtrend line, but based on the prior action, everything is starting to move more horizontally, and you can visually see that during this base right here. So I'll just make it like blue or something like that. I'll leave it up on the screen. But you can see this horizontal price action. So Bitcoin is like churning and churning and churning, and it's building that energy, and that combustion is going to occur sometime in the short-term future, and more than likely. Now, there's no guarantee that this thing could explode. It could literally go indefinitely horizontally. There's nothing that ever says it has to explode. But typically they lead to explosions. So I would say on the short term, I'm expecting an explosion in Bitcoin. The question is it to the upside or is it to the downside? If we do blow to the upside, I definitely think it's going to be a smaller move, yet a powerful move than this, So for example, this was the big move. This was like we'll call this like the data move, the mama move, and then we'll have the baby move. And that is exactly what I think is unfolding here. Or whatever way, mom, dad, I don't even care. Anyway, so if we break to the downside and break under 5750, price is going to move downward just as fast. And that should bring us, I think, into the 4,000 realm. But understand that these numbers, whether it's 4,000 or whether it's like 8,000, 8,500, something like that, these are pure fantasy at the moment until certain lines are broken. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, as they see these crazy figures that someone says Bitcoin's going to 35,000, or Tom Lee says it's going to 25,000 by the year end, or John McAfee says it's going to $1 trillion by next month, whatever the crazy numbers are out there. And there's certain levels that have to be broken, and these levels, if they're not broken, then anything beyond these zones are pure fantasy, because this is what the market is telling you Bitcoin is worth. I don't care what your technical analysis shows. I don't care what your future projections are. I don't care what the fundamentals are. I don't care what anything is outside of what the chart and price action is telling you. This is the most sobering analysis you're ever going to get, is when you stare at a chart and you realize that the asset you're trading, whether you're underwater, above water, whatever, is only worth this. That's all it's worth at the end of the day. You cannot, no matter how many lines you draw, what you anticipate, move that yourself. Things have to change, parameters have to be met, and then you get the whether it's a change in trend to the upside, an explosion to the upside, or a breakdown, an explosion to the downside. So anyways, I know I'm kind of elaborating a little bit on this analysis, but I just try to lay it all out there as logically as I possibly can for everyone, so everyone understands why I try to keep it as level-headed as possible. But we are building energy nonetheless. Bitcoin is building energy. So I'm not going to be bearish. I'm not going to be bullish. I'm just going to see what unfolds in price. I have my sub set up, and we're watching this closely. And I'm definitely anticipating an explosion in the short-term future. But then again, regardless of which way it goes, even if it does go up, I do not think this is going to be the bottom for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has a lot more floundering around to do into the rest of the year and probably into early next year as well. This is going to be a time-consuming process. I cannot say that enough. Everyone's anticipating this crazy meteoric rise at 35,000 before the year end, or whatever the crazy projections are, but no one's anticipating all the things I just explained. And it's not that I'm right. It's not that like my analysis and my overview is like the guaranteed, like this is it, this is the way it has to be analysis. But based on what I've seen in markets, based on what's happened to this market psychologically and financially, I definitely believe it is going to be a time-consuming process. And I just say that not to create fear, but just to kind of sober everyone up to where you're not making these irrational decisions and you're like, I'm just going to keep buying the dip like people were saying. People kept buying the dip, puked, vomit, got rid of it all. Saw price skyrocket, didn't know what the hell to do. Buying the dip, selling right here, puking and vomiting. Now the question is, do we rally back up or do we keep breaking down? And that's what we have to wait to see. Don't let it all pan out. So, again, I don't do these videos for investment advice. I try to give an overall objective of where the parameters are on this chart and what could unfold from those areas if they are broken. And I try to explain logically why I'm making all these assumptions on Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency market in general, because where Bitcoin goes, the rest of the market will follow. If you want something more in depth than that, I do have a subscriber account for my private Slack channel where I communicate with people every single day, do morning and night videos, and I give specific price points like stop losses, profit objectives, things like that for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as well. So it's not like I'm trying to segue into the sales pitch, but if you're wondering why I don't go into these numbers in extreme detail and why I'm not saying where to buy, where to sell, or any crazy thing like that, I only do that for my subscribers because it's a controlled environment. So yes, you have to pay money for it. It's just a month-to-month thing. There's no contracts, but we're on a platform to where if you have questions, they can be answered and things can be resolved. And just because I talk about 6,800, I'm able to control that environment to where people know at all times what's happening because this market changes rapidly. The last thing I'm going to do is produce a YouTube video telling people where to buy and sell, and then the next video is like the evening after, and so much can change. The market can dramatically change on a dime. I've already had people get pissed at me because I was like, I produced a video and then me and my subs bought and we made money shorting it, or we were on the long side and made money. And I talked about it in my videos and people were getting pissed because they were like, you were talking about one thing. Yeah, because things changed throughout the night, or things changed in the early morning that led to that decision. It wasn't like I purposely put out a video saying go one way and I went the other way. That wasn't the purpose. But anyways, I don't want to digress and go off on a tangent here, but that's the only reason why these videos may seem lackluster in numbers, and I only talk about the higher overview of this market. So if you do want something more in depth, I have my site, geometriccharts.com. You can check that out. And then at the bottom too, I do have my social media links, and I also have the link to my Slack channel as well. Well, not my Slack channel. It's a community of cryptocurrency individuals who trade the market. They provide they're just really nice, friendly people. There's over like 350 people. It's just a nice community. So anyways, that's it for the video. Another thing I want to say is that things will change. I know this is like a 15-minute video, so I'm going to try to wrap it up, but I am more than likely going to start moving the videos to only Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe a Saturday or Sunday video. The reason why is because I am becoming extremely busy, and I am now opening, like, I'm taking over more in my other business as well. Plus, with the subscribers growing too, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of time that has to be expended. A lot of cryptos are being covered. So I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions, and I still have to provide, that intimate relationship with my family too. So, and this, I'm being pulled in a lot of directions, and a lot of these videos have become redundant as well over time, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm more than likely just going to scale back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then if something wild and crazy happens, a Saturday or Sunday video, just to kind of recap the weekend. Okay, so I'm sorry for the long video. I thank everybody for the time and support, but I just want to give everyone that update. I'm trying to figure out how to balance it all out. And but anyway, so if you do like the video, you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. Again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. Everyone's extremely friendly. I could not be more blessed in a market. I get a few, dislikes and stuff, but a majority, it's like a 97% like rate. So I do enjoy the positive feedback. If there's something else, just always comment. If I do not get back to you, do not take that as a sign of disrespect. Like I'm trying to explain, I am extremely busy. I'm not just trying to make it up. I know I take time to do these videos, like 15 minutes to do this, but I try to deliver the best content I possibly can for people. And some of it may be long-winded and people might get pissed about it, but it is what it is. Like I try to give as best of analysis as I possibly can for you. So again, thank you for your time. I hope you have a great day, a great night, depending on where you are in the world. And I will produce another video Monday evening for everybody, depending on what happens. If something gets wild and crazy on Sunday, I'll post another video. But other than that, I'm expecting horizontal consolidation to an explosion. I gave the areas to look for, and that's that. So again, have a great night. Have a great day.